The red sun was sinking low over the alien village, casting long shadows across the stone huts. The air was heavy with dust, and the sound of distant wind echoed through the narrow paths. Children played in silence, their laughter faint and nervous, because in this village joy was always short-lived. Leora, a young alien child with silver eyes and pale skin that shimmered under the dying light, sat alone behind her mother's hut. She hugged her knees tightly, afraid to let anyone see the faint glow on her back. It had started small, like a spark hidden beneath her skin, but now it pulsed softly every night. Her mother, Alira, called out gently, "Leora, come inside before the cold grows stronger." Her voice was calm, but she carried the weight of 1,000 fears. Leora stood slowly, pulling her thin cloak tighter around her. She didn't want her mother to see. But secrets were heavy, and tonight the secret was too much for her small heart to carry. When she entered the hut, the fire in the center flickered weakly, casting dim light over the clay walls. Alira sat on the floor weaving cloth, her hands moving carefully, but her eyes, tired and filled with love, lifted to meet her daughter's face. Leora sat down quietly, her lips trembling as if she wanted to speak but couldn't. Alira leaned closer, brushing Leora's hair from her face. "What troubles you, my little star?" she asked. Leora's eyes watered, and she whispered, "Mom, something grows on my back." The words shook in the air, fragile and heavy at the same time. Alira froze, her fingers stiff against her daughter's cheek. "Show me," she said softly, though her heart already feared what she would see. With trembling hands, Leora pulled the cloak from her shoulders. The faint glow spread across her skin, a strange mark twisting upward like roots of light. The moment Alira saw it, her breath caught, her body swayed as if struck, and then she collapsed to her knees. Her hands clutched her chest, and tears filled her eyes. She knew this mark. She had prayed never to see it again. Leora panicked, rushing to her mother. "I'm sorry, I didn't want to hide it. Please don't be angry." But Alira wasn't angry. She was broken. The mark was not just strange. It was deadly. It was the sign of the ancient curse, a secret carried in whispers from mother to child for generations. Long ago, the elders had told of a parasite planted in their bloodline by enemies from the stars. Any child who bore the glow would suffer. And worse, the parasite could spread. The village always responded with fear, choosing exile or death for those marked. Alira had heard the screams of mothers long ago when their children were taken. Now, it was her child. She pulled Leora close, holding her tightly. Her voice cracked as she whispered, "My child, my little star, why you?" Her tears fell into her daughter's hair. Leora hugged her back, confused and afraid. "Am I dying, mother?" she asked. Alira shook her head, her lips trembling. "No, no, you are not dying tonight, but they must not see this. Do you understand?" Her voice was desperate. She knew the council would take Leora away if the truth came out. The thought of losing her child tore her apart. Outside, the wind grew stronger, carrying dust into the night. The village fires burned faintly, and shadows moved between huts. Alira shut the door tight, sealing them in darkness except for the glow from Leora's back. She stared at it, half terrified, half in awe. The glow pulsed like a heartbeat, alive and dangerous. For hours they sat together, the fire fading. Leora eventually fell asleep in her mother's arms, but Alira could not rest. Every moment her mind screamed with fear. Should she tell the council? Should she hide her daughter and risk being branded a traitor? Should she try to flee the village under the cover of night? None of the choices led to peace. Her heart ached with every breath. She knew she would rather die than give up her child. But how could she protect her from an entire village, from a curse that lived in their very blood? She pressed her forehead to the ground, whispering silent prayers to the stars, hoping for mercy. As the first light of dawn touched the sky, Alira wiped her tears and stood. She looked down at Leora, still sleeping peacefully despite the glow that betrayed her. In that moment, Alira made a promise. She would protect her daughter at any cost. She would not let the council take her. She would not let the curse decide her fate. The mother's heart was breaking, But inside that pain, a fierce fire was born, a fire that whispered of defiance, of hope, and of a fight yet to come. The red sun rose again, its light stretching across the village like fire. The people moved slowly, carrying water, fixing nets, and repairing huts. But inside Elira's home the world felt heavy and still. She sat by the small fire with her daughter still asleep beside her, the faint glow on Leora's back hidden under layers of cloth. Her hands shook as she touched the fabric, because her mind had returned to old memories she had buried deep. Long ago, when Elira was a child, she had heard whispers about the Cursed Ones. There had been another girl in her clan, a cousin with bright eyes and a smile that made everyone love her. One night, that girl's back began to glow. Elira had not understood it then, but she remembered the screams that followed. The council had come, their faces hard, their voices sharp. They had taken the girl from her mother's arms, ignoring the cries of the family. Elira never saw her cousin again. She remembered her grandmother's words from that night, whispered while they hid in the corner. "This is not a blessing, child. This is the seed of death planted in us by enemies from the stars. Our ancestors were slaves, and the invaders made sure none of us could ever be free. If the seed grows, it destroys, and the people will always fear it." Those words had stayed with her, cold and sharp. Now, seeing the glow on Leora, she knew the curse was alive again. Elira covered her face with her hands. She had sworn never to let history repeat itself. Yet here she was, a mother facing the same horror. How could she choose? If she told the truth, Leora would be taken. If she hid it, they would both be punished. She whispered to herself, "I will not give her to them. I will not lose her like my aunt lost her child." Her tears soaked the earth beneath her knees. The village outside was alive with voices. The council had called a gathering. Elira's heart raced as she carried Leora outside, wrapping her tightly, so no one would see the glow. The people gathered around the central stone, waiting for the elders to speak. The air smelled of smoke and dust, and fear hung heavy over everyone. The council announced that a storm was coming from the east, dangerous and strong. They ordered everyone to stay close to the village walls. But while the people worried about the storm, Elira worried about the storm inside her home. She felt eyes on her, watching. She knew if anyone suspected, it would only take one whisper. Fear could turn even friends into enemies. She held Leora close, forcing a smile, trying to look normal, but inside her chest her heart pounded like thunder. That night, when the village slept, Elira sat alone by the fire. Her mind drifted back further, to her grandmother's secret tale. Few knew it, but her grandmother had told her in hushed tones that once, long ago, a child with a glowing mark had survived. Not all had died. One was hidden, taken by wanderers from the stars, and never seen again. Some believed that child had grown strong, perhaps even free of the curse. Elira had clung to that story as a child, though most thought it was only a myth. Now it was her only hope. She looked down at her daughter, asleep with her small hands curled near her face, her glow faint but steady beneath the cloth, and Elira whispered, "Maybe you can live. Maybe you can break this chain." Her voice trembled but carried a spark of determination. The storm struck the village with violent winds, tearing roofs and shaking walls. People cried out as fires were put out and water spilled. In the chaos, Elira felt the weight of her decision settle. She could use the storm to leave. The thought was dangerous, but it would give her, in Leora, a chance. Her eyes burned with fear, but also with resolve. As thunder roared and the village guards ran to hold the gates, Elira wrapped her daughter tighter. She whispered, "Hold on, my little star. We will not be prisoners of fear. We will not be victims of the past." With that, she stepped into the storm, her cloak whipping in the wind. Her daughter pressed close to her chest. Her heart broke with every step, remembering the faces of her people, the home she had built, the tradition she was abandoning. But the memory of her cousin's screams was louder. The memory of her grandmother's sorrow was sharper. She chose defiance. She chose hope, even if it meant becoming an exile. As lightning split the sky, Elira whispered to herself, "The past will not decide her future." Her tears mixed with rain. Her body trembled. But her spirit did not bend. She walked into the darkness with only her love as a shield and only her courage as a weapon. And so, the secret past became the force that carried her forward. The mark that once meant death was now a reason to fight. For the first time, Elira believed there might be another path. One where her daughter could live, one where the curse could be broken. But deep inside, she also knew something else. The storm raged for hours, lightning splitting the dark sky and winds howling through the alien plains. Elira held Leora close as they struggled against the storm. Their cloaks whipped like torn wings. Their feet sank in the wet earth. But still, they pushed forward. She knew they could not return to the village. Not now. Not ever. When the storm finally weakened, the world felt quiet and broken. Trees bent low. The river flooded, and the night smelled of smoke and wet stone. Elira found shelter in a half-collapsed cave near the edge of the forest. There she laid Leora down, brushing rain from her daughter's face. The glow on the child's back pulsed faintly in the dark, like a small living star. Elira whispered, "You are my light, my little star. You will not be taken, I promise." Her voice trembled, but her arms were strong. She sat awake all night, fearing the future. By morning, something new broke the silence of the forest, a low hum. Strange and unfamiliar, it was not thunder nor wind. It was deeper, steady, almost mechanical. Elira's heart raced. She rose quickly. Pulling Leora close, her eyes searched the sky. Then she saw it. A silver object cut through the clouds, glowing faintly against the pale sun. It moved in ways no bird or beast ever could. It descended slowly, carefully, until it landed beyond the trees with a heavy hiss. The ground shook and smoke rose. Elira froze, because she knew this was no storm. This was something from the stars. Fear gripped her heart. The stories of the ancestors returned to her mind. The invaders who had cursed her people had come from the sky. Had they returned now to finish what they started? She hid behind the rocks with Leora, clutching her daughter so tightly that the child whimpered. The silver craft opened, and a figure stepped out. He was tall, broad-shouldered, covered in strange clothing that shone in the light. His face was different, his skin darker, his eyes sharp. His movements were cautious, but not cruel. This was no alien of her kind. This was a human. The man scanned the broken landscape, adjusting the device on his arm. His voice carried into the air, rough yet calm. "System failure. Forced landing. I need repairs." His words were strange, but somehow Elira understood enough. Her people had always feared the language of the stars, but she recognized fragments from old stories. Leora tugged at her mother's sleeve, whispering softly, "Who is he? Mother? Is he dangerous?" Elira hushed her, but the child's silver eyes never left the human. They were wide with both fear and curiosity. The man walked further into the forest, his boots crunching against the wet ground. He paused, looking around, scanning with a device that hummed softly. Suddenly, his gaze shifted, and Elira knew he had seen them. She pulled Leora back, but it was too late. "Wait," the man called out, his voice firm but not threatening. He raised his hands slowly, showing them empty. "I won't hurt you." His words carried strange sounds, yet somehow the tone was clear. Elira stepped forward slightly, keeping Leora behind her. Her voice shook as she spoke in her own tongue. "Stay away." The man tilted his head, as if trying to understand. Then he pressed something on his wrist. A soft light blinked, and his voice changed. "I am Daniel Reed," he said, his words now in her language. Awkward, but understandable. "I am human. I crash-landed here. I mean no harm." The sound of his words in her own tongue shocked Elira. She hesitated, fear and mistrust filling her chest. But Leora peeked from behind her mother and whispered, "Mother, maybe he can help me." Elira stiffened. She turned sharply to her daughter. "No, we do not trust him. He is from the stars. He could be like those who cursed us." But Leora's eyes glowed faintly in the shadows, and her small voice carried hope. "Please, Mother, just listen." Daniel saw the glow then, his eyes widened, and he stepped closer with careful movements. "That light on her back," he whispered. His device beeped, scanning faint energy. His expression shifted from curiosity to concern. He knelt slowly on one knee, lowering himself to the child's height. "Little one, you are not safe with that. I can see it." Alira pulled Leora back, her heart pounding. "Do not touch her," she warned. Her hands shook as she held her child, but Daniel did not move closer. He raised his palms again, his voice steady. "I'm not your enemy. I can help her. Let me look." For a moment, only the sound of the forest filled the air. Alira's mind screamed with warnings, but her heart trembled. Daniel's voice was different from the council, different from the cold elders. There was no fear in his eyes, only something else, something she had not seen in a long time. Human concern. Leora slipped from her mother's grasp, stepping forward slowly, her voice small but steady. "Please, don't tell anyone." She pulled her cloak aside. The forest grew quiet as Daniel studied the glow on Leora's back. His device buzzed with strange symbols and sounds. Alira stood tense beside her daughter, her hands trembling but her eyes sharp, ready to pull Leora back if the human made a single wrong move. Daniel leaned closer, careful not to touch, his brow furrowed as he read the data. "This is not just light. It is alive," he whispered. His voice carried a mix of shock and pity. He pressed a button and a small screen flickered, showing an image of twisting roots coiled deep inside the child's body, spreading from her spine like fire under the skin. Alira's breath caught. The image was like a nightmare given shape. She clutched her chest, memories of her cousin's screams rushing back. Her knees weakened, and she fell to the ground. "No, no, not again," she whispered. Her tears burned her cheeks. Daniel looked at her, his voice steady. "You knew, didn't you? You knew something like this had happened before." Alira's lips shook as she answered. "Our people call it a curse, a mark of death. The council will take her if they see. They will say she is dangerous. They will say she will bring ruin. And maybe they are right." Her voice cracked. "Because every child who carried this glow has died." Leora looked between them, her small face pale. "Mother, am I going to die?" she whispered, her silver eyes filled with tears. Alira pulled her close, shaking her head fiercely. "No, no, I will not let them take you. I will not let them end you." Daniel's expression hardened. He pointed at the screen. "This is no curse. This is a parasite, a weapon. It was planted inside your people long ago. It feeds and grows until the body breaks. That is why they die." He paused, his jaw tight. "But parasites can be removed." The words hung heavy in the air. Alira stared at him, her heart caught between hope and terror. "Removed?" she whispered. "Do you mean cured?" Daniel hesitated. "I can try. Human medicine is different. I've seen living weapons before. But this one is old. Maybe older than I can imagine. It will not be easy." He looked at Leora, his voice low but firm. "If I fail, she could die sooner. If I succeed, she might live, but she will never be the same." Alira's arms tightened around her daughter. "Never the same? What do you mean?" Daniel's eyes narrowed as he studied the glowing veins on the screen. "This parasite connects to her nerves, her blood, her very life. Removing it might save her body, but it will change her. She may carry strength or scars no one can predict." Alira felt her chest tighten. The choice was a knife at her throat. Could she risk her child's life on the word of a stranger from the stars? Yet deep inside, she knew the truth. Doing nothing meant certain death. Before she could answer, movement stirred beyond the trees. Voices, sharp and angry, echoed through the forest. The council's guards, their figures appeared with torches and spears, their eyes scanning. Alira's blood froze. They had followed her trail. "Hide her!" Daniel hissed. He shut down the device, stuffing it in his pack. Alira wrapped Leora tightly, covering the glow. Her heart thundered in her chest as the guards came closer. One of them called out, "Alira, you are accused of fleeing the village. You and your child must return with us." His voice was cold, his eyes suspicious. They were only steps away now. Alira rose, her body trembling. She stood between the guards and her daughter. "No," she said, her voice breaking yet firm. "You will not take her." The guards exchanged dark looks. One raised his spear. "You defy the council? You dare." Daniel stepped forward then, his tall frame blocking them. His voice was steady but dangerous. "She is under my protection." His hand rested on the strange weapon at his side, his eyes burning with defiance. The guards froze, fear flickering in their eyes at the sight of the human. They whispered among themselves, but their leader spat. "You are not one of us, stranger. This is our law." Daniel's jaw clenched. "Your law will kill her. I will not allow it." The tension crackled like the storm itself. Elira's body shook, torn between fear and relief. She had never imagined standing beside a human, never imagined finding an ally from the stars. Yet here he was, ready to face the council's wrath. The guards stepped back, not ready to fight him yet, but their words were filled with warning. "This is not over. The council will decide your fate." Then they vanished into the trees, their torches fading into the night. Elira sank to her knees, holding Leora close. Daniel crouched beside her, his voice softer now. "You have no time. They will return. If you want your daughter to live, you must trust me. I need to work before it is too late." Her tears flowed freely, her heart breaking under the weight of choice. She looked at her daughter, glowing faintly in the dark, and whispered, "What do I do?" The night was heavy with silence after the guards left. Elira sat near the dying fire, holding Leora tightly while Daniel kept watch. His human eyes scanned the shadows, his hand never far from the strange weapon at his side. The danger was not over. Elira knew it. Daniel knew it. Even little Leora could feel it. The council would not give up. At dawn, the forest stirred with uneasy whispers. Birds scattered, and the ground seemed to tremble under marching feet. Elira's heart sank as she heard the sound of many voices. The council had come, not just a few guards this time, but an entire group of elders and warriors. Their torches glowed like burning eyes in the mist. The council leader stepped forward, his robe long and dark, his face carved with age and authority. His voice thundered across the forest. "Elira, daughter of the village, you have broken our law. You have fled with your cursed child, and now you bring danger upon us all." Elira stood, her arms wrapped protectively around Leora. Her voice trembled but did not break. "She is not cursed. She is my daughter. She is my light." The elder's eyes hardened. "She carries the mark. You know the old stories. That glow will bring death if she stays alive. The whole village is at risk. You dare place your love above the survival of your people?" Elira's tears burned, but she lifted her chin. "I dare, because my people would kill innocents in the name of fear. I will not let you take her." Murmurs spread through the gathered villagers. Some looked away, ashamed, while others nodded grimly. The fear of the curse had lived in them for generations. Fear ruled stronger than compassion. Daniel stepped forward, his tall form casting a long shadow. His voice cut through their whispers like a blade. "You call it a curse, but I call it what it is, a weapon buried in her blood. I have the tools to remove it, to save her. You cling to fear because it is easier than hope." The council leader spat. "You are not one of us. Human, you cannot decide our fate." His hand rose, signaling the warriors to move forward. Spears lifted, shields clashed, the air filled with the sound of iron and determination. Leora whimpered, clutching her mother's cloak. Elira held her tighter, her body shaking. She whispered in her daughter's hair, "Do not be afraid, my star. I will protect you." Daniel's hand moved to his weapon, but his voice stayed calm. "Step closer, and you will regret it. I will not let you harm them." His eyes burned with steel, the kind of resolve born from battles Elira could not imagine. The warriors hesitated, uncertain. They had never faced a human before, never seen such strange weapons. Fear flickered in their eyes, but the council leader's voice pushed them forward. "He is only one. We are many. Do not let him frighten you." Still, no one moved. The tension was a storm, heavy and suffocating. Elira felt her knees weaken. She wanted to scream, to beg, but her pride held her tongue. Her people were ready to kill her child, and yet here stood a stranger from the stars, willing to risk his life for them both. Daniel raised his voice, loud and commanding. "You call yourselves protectors, yet you destroy your own children. You're not fighting a curse. You're feeding it. Every time you kill a child, the parasite wins, the enemy who planted it wins. But if we fight together, if you let me save her, maybe your people can be free." The words struck like lightning. The crowd shifted uneasily. The warriors lowered their spears just slightly. Doubt cracked through their fear, but the elder slammed his staff against the earth. "Lies, the curse is death, and death is the only cure. If we allow her to live, the sickness will spread." Daniel's jaw clenched. He looked at Alira and whispered, "We cannot wait. They will not listen. We must leave now." Alira nodded, her heart pounding. She grabbed Leora's hand, ready to run, but before they could move, the warriors surged forward, torches and weapons raised, the forest filled with the sound of their charge. Daniel fired his weapon into the air. A beam of light split the sky. Thunder roared. The warriors stopped, stunned. Fear swept through them like wildfire. For a moment, silence ruled again. Alira's breath came fast. Her people stared with wide eyes at the power of the human. Some fell to their knees. Others fled into the trees. The elder's face twisted with fury. "You dare use starfire against us? You bring war into our sacred land." Daniel's voice was cold. "No, I bring truth, and truth is what you fear the most." He turned to Alira. "Go, take her. I will hold them back." Alira shook her head. "No, we go together. I will not leave you to face them alone." Her courage surprised even herself, but Daniel gave a tight nod. Together they stepped back, retreating into the deeper forest. The council shouted behind them, voices filled with rage and fear. "Traitors! You will not escape." The forest swallowed them as they ran. Alira's lungs burned with every breath. Daniel moved quickly, guiding them through hidden paths, while Leora clung to her mother's hand. The council's shouts grew faint behind them, but Alira knew the danger was not gone. The council would not stop. They would hunt them until the child was dead. At last, Daniel slowed and pointed ahead. Through the trees, Alira saw it. His ship, it was half buried in mud and broken branches from the storm. Its silver surface cracked, smoke still rising from its hull. It looked wounded, like a beast struggling to breathe. Yet to Alira, it was a strange symbol of hope. Daniel led them inside. The air smelled of metal and oil. Lights flickered weakly along the walls. Leora's wide eyes searched every corner in wonder. She had never seen such things. She touched a glowing panel with her small fingers and whispered, "Is this your home?" Daniel gave a tired smile. For now, yes. He knelt and checked his devices, his hands moving fast. His voice grew serious. "If I am to save her, I must try here. I have tools, I have medicine, but it will not be easy." Alira's heart pounded. "Tell me what you need," she said. Daniel's eyes softened, courage and trust. He cleared a metal table and laid out strange instruments that glowed faintly. Small blades, tubes, and machines that hummed with low energy. Alira's stomach turned as she watched. She felt like she was handing her daughter to the storm itself. Daniel turned to Leora, crouching so his eyes met hers. "Little star," he said gently, "I will try to take the darkness from you, but it will hurt. Do you understand?" Leora's lips trembled, but she nodded bravely. "I am not afraid if my mother is here." Tears filled Alira's eyes. She kissed her daughter's forehead, whispering, "I will be here always. You are not alone." Daniel prepared the table, then looked at Alira. "Hold her hand. Do not let go." She nodded, her grip tightening around Leora's small fingers. The process began. Daniel placed a scanner over Leora's back. The glow pulsed stronger, the parasite shifting as if it sensed danger. The machine beeped wildly. Daniel muttered, "It's deep, it's connected to her nerves. If I cut too fast, it will kill her." Alira's chest tightened. She prayed silently, her forehead pressed to her daughter's hand. Outside, thunder rolled again, a storm building on the horizon. The ship shook faintly as wind howled. The world seemed to mirror their struggle. Daniel used a blade of light to open the skin carefully. Alira gasped as glowing veins spread like roots beneath Leora's flesh. The parasite was alive, twisting and curling, feeding on her. Daniel's jaw clenched. sweat beading his forehead. It's worse than I thought, but I can still fight it. Leora whimpered in pain. Her small body shook. Elira whispered over and over, "Stay with me, my star. Stay with me." She kissed her daughter's cheek, tears falling freely. Daniel inserted tubes connected to a humming device. The glow inside Leora's back began to drain into the machine, but the parasite resisted, thrashing violently beneath her skin. Leora screamed, her cry piercing the air. Elira nearly collapsed, but Daniel's voice cut through. "Do not let go of her hand. If you let go, she will slip away." Elira held tighter, whispering fiercely, "I will never let go." Minutes felt like hours. The machine roared, lights flashing red and blue. The ship trembled as if it too was fighting. Outside, the storm grew stronger, lightning splitting the sky. Daniel gritted his teeth. Almost there, the parasite is breaking, just a little more. He pulled a writhing mass of glowing roots free, tossing it into a sealed container. The parasite screeched like a living thing as it was trapped. Leora went limp, her glow dimming. Elira screamed, "No, please no." She shook her daughter, but Daniel's voice snapped. "She is alive, hold on. I am not done." He worked quickly, closing the wound with glowing seals, pouring strange liquid into the veins. Slowly, the light in Leora's body returned, but it was different. It was brighter, steadier, not wild like before. Daniel finally stepped back, his face pale, his hands shaking. "It is done," he whispered. "The parasite is gone, but she is changed." Elira clutched her daughter, feeling the faint but steady rise of her chest. Her tears fell onto Leora's skin as the child stirred weakly, whispering, "Mother." Elira sobbed with relief. "I am here, my star. You are safe." Daniel looked at them both, his voice low but heavy. "She will live, but the parasite has left a mark. She is no longer only what she was. She carries something new now, something powerful, and the council will fear it more than ever." Elira's eyes hardened. She kissed her daughter's forehead, then looked at Daniel with fierce resolve. "Let them fear. I will not lose her again." Outside, the storm broke fully. The storm outside raged like a beast, thunder shaking the walls of the broken ship. But inside, silence fell as Daniel stepped back from the table. His face was pale, his hands trembling. He had given everything to save the child. Sweat dripped from his forehead, yet his eyes stayed locked on Leora. Elira knelt by her daughter, her tears soaking the girl's silver hair. Leora's chest rose and fell slowly, her breathing weak but steady. The glow on her back no longer writhed with the parasite's chaos. Instead, it pulsed softly, like a heartbeat, strong and alive. "Mother," Leora whispered faintly. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing brighter than before. Her voice was fragile, yet steady. "Am I safe now?" Elira sobbed, pressing her forehead to her daughter's. "Yes, my star. You are safe. You are alive." Her heart ached with relief. For days she had carried only fear, but now for the first time, she carried hope. Daniel leaned against the wall, his breath heavy, his voice low. "She lives, but she is changed. The parasite is gone, but its touch remains. Her blood carries power it never held before. She is no longer only child, no longer only alien. She is something new." Elira looked at him, confusion and fear in her eyes. "What do you mean?" Daniel pointed at the scanner. The screen showed strange patterns in Leora's body, glowing lines that stretched through her veins like rivers of light. She has adapted. The parasite's strength is fused with her now, but it no longer controls her. She controls it. This has never happened before, at least, not that I have seen. Leora sat up slowly, her small hands glowing faintly in the dark. She stared at her palms in wonder. "It feels warm. It feels like fire inside me, but it doesn't hurt anymore." Elira pulled her close, half in awe, half in fear. "You are my child. Nothing else matters. No power, no curse. You are mine." But before they could rest, the sound of voices rose outside. The council had returned, their torches glowing in the storm. Shadows moved through the rain, sharp and angry. The elder's voice thundered. "Open this door, Elira. You cannot hide. The cursed child belongs to us. Alira's heart raced. She held Leora close, her body trembling. Daniel stepped forward, his weapon ready. They will not take her, he said firmly. But even he looked weary. His strength was nearly gone. The door shook under heavy blows. The ship rattled as the council's warriors pushed against it. Their fury mixed with fear. They wanted to destroy what they did not understand. Leora's glow spread brighter, filling the ship with light. Her voice was calm, almost too calm for a child. Mother, he cannot fight them all, and you cannot protect me forever, but maybe. I can protect you. Alira gasped. No, my star, you are just a child. But Daniel's eyes widened as he watched the glow grow stronger. He whispered, she's not just a child anymore. She's becoming something else, something greater. The door cracked open, rain pouring inside. The council leader stepped through, his staff raised high. The abomination must be ended. He roared, his eyes burned with fear and hate. Alira stood in front of Leora, her arms spread wide. You will not touch her. You'll have to kill me first. Her voice shook, but her stance did not. But before the elder could strike, Leora stepped forward. Her glow flared, brighter than the torches, brighter than the storm itself. The warriors froze, shielding their eyes. The light poured out of her like a living force. The parasite that once cursed her had become a gift. It no longer consumed her. It obeyed her. Her small voice echoed in the storm. I am not cursed. I am not death. I am life. The council leader stumbled back, his staff shaking. Fear spread through the warriors like wildfire. Some dropped their weapons. Others fell to their knees. The glow wrapped around Alira and Daniel like a shield, pushing back the attackers without a single touch. Alira's tears streamed down her face. Her body trembled as she whispered, My star, you are the miracle we prayed for. Daniel's voice was low but filled with awe. She is the proof. The curse was never meant to end you. It was meant to change you. She is the first to survive, the first to rise. The storm began to fade as the glow dimmed gently. Leora swayed, her body exhausted. Alira caught her in her arms, holding her tightly. Rest, my child. You have done enough. The council stood silent, their wrath broken. The elder dropped his staff into the mud, his voice shaking. Perhaps we were wrong. For the first time, the people saw not a cursed child, but a savior, a being of hope. And in that moment, the story of fear that ruled them for generations began to crack. Alira collapsed to her knees, not from despair this time, but from overwhelming relief. Her tears were no longer only of sorrow. They were of gratitude, of wonder, of love. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice steady. Maybe your people and mine were never meant to be enemies. Maybe this is how we begin again, together. Alira looked at her daughter, glowing faintly in her arms, and whispered, You are my star, my miracle, my hope. And in the ruins of fear, beneath the stormy sky, the painful miracle was born.